Darkness spread across the endless void of space. No stars, no light, only the silent drift of forgotten wreckage, broken ships, shattered dreams, and the cold echo of humanity's past. For more than 2 centuries, humans had vanished. Their cities were dust. Their colonies turned into ruins. The galaxy moved on, ruled by alien empires who spoke of humans as old legends, dangerous, reckless creatures who once challenged the stars and paid the price. But deep inside, a dying nebula. Hidden under layers of cosmic storms, something still breathed. A ship, ancient, massive and scarred, floated in the silence. Its name barely visible on the torn metal, TSS Valiant Dawn. Inside, everything was still. The corridors were cold. Cryo-chambers lined the walls, their glass frozen over time. Then suddenly, a flicker of blue light spread across the ship's core. A voice spoke, mechanical but filled with emotion. System reboot complete. Aegis core online. The ship's AI had awakened. Its memory bank searched for life signs. And there, faint heartbeat detected in Chamber 7. Cryolocks opened with a hiss, releasing a cloud of frozen air. A man gasped, falling forward. His breath shook as he looked around. His name was Captain Arlen Drake, one of the last soldiers of Earth's Terran Starfleet. His body trembled from the cold, but his mind returned quickly. He placed his hand on the frozen glass of the chamber next to him. Inside were his crew, still asleep, still alive. "How long have we been gone?" he whispered. Aegis replied, its voice calm and heavy. "Captain, you have been in cryostasis for 217 years. The war is over. Humanity is gone." The words hit like a blade. Arlen fell silent. He remembered the last day, the fall of Earth, the great evacuation, the desperate escape through hyperspace. They had entered a temporal fold, a risky experiment meant to save the last survivors. But the fold had trapped them in timeless space. Until now, he stood and walked slowly through the ship. The lights flickered as systems came back to life. The Valiant Dawn groaned like an old beast waking from a deep sleep. "Broken wings, but still alive." "Status report," Arlen ordered. "Engines at 20%, Aegis said. "Shields offline. Weapons unstable. We are adrift inside the Andros void." Arlen stared out the main viewport. The stars looked strange, unfamiliar. New constellations, new skies. Everything he once knew was gone. He clenched his fists. "If humanity is gone, then who rules now?" Aegis responded, projecting data across the screen. "The Zereth Dominion, an alien empire. They control all known systems once held by humans. Their fleets patrol this sector." Arlen watched as the screen showed alien warships, sleek, curved, dark as knives. The Zerath had conquered everything, but something else appeared on the sensors, a small blip, distant but growing. Aegis focused the display. "Unknown ship approaching. Power signature matches Zerath fleet technology." Arlen's heart tightened. "How far?" 50,000 kilometers and closing. The Valiant Dawn was weak. No weapons, no shields, no allies. The alien ship would destroy them easily. He ran to the control chair, wiping the dust from old screens. "Divert all power to stealth systems," he ordered. Aegis hesitated. "Captain, stealth systems are damaged. We cannot fully hide." "Then make us a ghost," Arlen said. "Even a broken ghost can haunt." Outside, the alien cruiser entered range. Its scanners swept across the void, searching. Inside, Arlen's heart pounded. He remembered old battles, the fire of plasma, the screams of fallen soldiers. Humanity had once stood tall. Now only he remained to remember them. The alien ship sent a signal, coded, unreadable. Then a beam of light cut through the dark, scanning the Valiant Dawn. "Contact confirmed," Aegis said. "They found us." Arlen stared at the screen where alien symbols glowed. "Translate it." After a pause, the AI spoke. "They ask what species we are. They do not recognize human signatures." Arlen almost smiled. Sad, tired, but proud. "Good. Let them wonder." He pressed his hand against the Terran emblem on the console, the old blue flag with the silver star. "Activate external lights," he said. The Valiant Dawn lit up, revealing its massive frame. Old metal, scarred from wars long forgotten, still carried the mark of Earth. The alien commander on the other side watched in confusion. His sensors read the ship's name, data long buried in history files. "Impossible," he said to his crew. "That ship was destroyed centuries ago." In that moment, the void thundered, a deep vibration through the silence. The ancient ship's engines roared weakly to life. Arlen's voice echoed through the comms. "To whoever you are out there, this is Captain Arlen Drake of the Terran Starfleet. Humanity still breathes." The aliens froze. Across the galaxy, the signal spread, carrying with it a single, haunting truth. The humans were not gone. The thunder in the void had begun to echo once more. The TSS Valiant Dawn drifted silently in the darkness, its engines breathing weak sparks of blue fire. Around it, the Andros void stretched like a sea without end, cold, empty, and watching. Captain Arlen Drake stood at the viewing deck, eyes fixed on the alien cruiser that now hovered just beyond firing range. The enemy ship gleamed with black metal and pulsing red lights, its shape curved like a blade. It belonged to the Zerath Dominion, the most feared empire in the galaxy. Their commander, High Strategos Varin, observed from his throne of glass and iron. His crew waited for his command. "Scan it again," Varin ordered. "I want to know what kind of ghost dares appear in Zerath space." His officers obeyed, sending bright waves of energy across the void. The results confused them. The readings were ancient, older than their empire. "Sir," one officer said, voice uneasy, "its power signature is human." Varin frowned. "Humans are extinct." "Then explain the signal we received," the officer replied. "It matches pre-Dominion Terran code." The alien commander rose from his throne, his crimson eyes narrowing. "Impossible. Unless—" He stopped mid-sentence as a low vibration echoed through the void. On the Valiant Dawn, Aegis reported, "Captain, their scans are complete." "They are charging weapons." Arlen's jaw tightened. "How long until we can jump?" "Hyperspace drive's unstable," Aegis said. "Too long to escape." "We stand alone," Arlen exhaled slowly. "Then we stand tall." He moved to the main console, hands brushing over cracked controls. The ship groaned in protest, ancient systems fighting to stay alive. Sparks jumped from wires and the lights dimmed. "Bring the power core online," he ordered. Aegis hesitated. "The core is volatile. 2 centuries without maintenance. A single spark could tear the ship apart." "Do it," Arlen said. "Better to die with fire than fade in silence." Outside, the alien cruiser locked its weapons. Varin gave the command. "Fire!" Plasma lances sliced through space, glowing trails that struck the Valiant Dawn's hull. Metal screamed as the ship shook violently. Consoles burst with smoke. Aegis reported, "Shields down." "Damage on decks 3 and 4. Arlen gritted his teeth. "Return fire. Captain, our weapons are—" "I said fire!" Energy flowed through the old ship like lightning through dead veins. The main cannon glowed, trembling from the strain. Then with a thunderous roar, it fired. The beam shot through the void, hitting the alien cruiser dead center. The explosion was blinding, tearing half of its armor away. For the first time in centuries, the void echoed with the sound of human fury. In the Zerath command deck, chaos erupted. "Direct hit," shouted one officer. "Primary shields gone. Damage critical." Varin gripped the railing. "That ship is using primitive technology. It should not have this kind of power." Another officer turned, fear in his eyes. "The signal, it's spreading. Other fleets are detecting it. The Terran warship has been identified across multiple sectors." Varin's voice darkened. "Then silence it, now." Arlen wiped blood from his forehead. "Aegis status. Enemy crippled but not destroyed. 2 more ships approaching from hyperspace." Arlen looked out into the Black Sea. "So it begins." He turned toward the bridge crew awakening from cryo chambers, faces pale, eyes confused. "Listen to me," he said firmly. "We are all that's left of humanity. If we die here, we die forgotten. But if we fight, we remind the stars who we were." A silence filled the bridge. Then one of the officers, Lieutenant Ria Torres, stood and saluted. "For Earth," she said. "For Earth," the others repeated. Aegis interrupted. "Captain, the power core is reaching unstable levels. If we push it any harder," Arlen raised his voice, "then it will shine one more time." He activated manual controls. The ship's engines flared, blue flames cutting through the dark. A deep rumble filled the void, spreading outward like thunder. Varen's fleet detected the surge too late. The Valiant Dawn's energy readings spiked beyond measurable limits. "What are they doing?" An alien shouted. "Running? No, charging something." A heartbeat later, the Dawn unleashed a blast that ripped through the darkness, a storm of pure gravity energy. Space itself seemed to twist, folding light and sound. The shockwaves struck the alien fleet, tearing two ships apart instantly. The rest scattered in panic. Arlen's ship drifted through the glowing debris, silent and proud. The void around it shimmered as the pulse faded. Inside the alien flagship, alarms wailed. The commander stood frozen, watching his fleet burn. "Thunder," he muttered. There was thunder. In the void, his aide trembled. "Sir, we should retreat." Varen glared at him. "No, we hunt them. The galaxy must know. If humans have returned, they must be destroyed before the fire spreads again." He raised his hand. "Summon the fleet. Begin the purge." Back aboard the Valiant Dawn, the crew repaired what little they could. Arlen stared at the stars, his reflection glowing in the cracked glass. "Captain," Aegis said softly, "our signal has traveled across hundreds of systems. We are no longer hidden." Arlen nodded. "Good. Let them come. The galaxy forgot humanity once. No, they'll remember." The camera of the universe pulled back, showing the lone Terran warship drifting among the ruins of its enemies. Around it the void whispered again, low, deep, and endless. Thunder rolled where there should have been silence. Humanity was awake. The TSS Valiant Dawn floated among the remains of the alien cruisers, its hull scarred and glowing faintly from battle damage. Fires burned quietly inside the corridors, and the metallic smell of ozone filled the air. But for the first time in 2 centuries, the ship's heart, its power core, was alive again. Captain Arlen Drake stood in the command deck, staring at the flickering lights of the holographic map. Red dots marked the enemy ships. There were more coming, many more. Aegis, the ship's AI, spoke in its calm mechanical voice. "Captain, enemy reinforcements detected. Estimated arrival 22 minutes. Arlen rubbed his eyes and took a deep breath. His body ached, but his mind was sharp. "How much power do we have left?" "Main reactor stable at 40%, Aegis replied. "Shields operational but weak. Weapons recharging. Structural integrity compromised." Arlen gave a faint smile. "So we're alive, but hanging by a thread." "Yes, Captain," Aegis said. "A very thin thread." He looked at his crew. Only a few had fully woken from cryo-sleep. Most were engineers, pilots, and technicians. All were tired, confused, and terrified. Yet every pair of eyes followed him, waiting for his command. "Listen up," Arlen said, his voice steady. "The Zerath know we're here. They're coming to finish what they started 200 years ago, but they don't know what this ship can still do." Lieutenant Ria Torres stepped forward. "Sir, we can't fight their whole fleet with this damage." "I know," Arlen replied. "That's why we won't fight them head-on. We'll wake the ship completely." The lights flickered as the Valiant Dawn's systems groaned to life. In the engineering bay, massive turbines began to spin. Robotic arms repaired damaged conduits. Cryopods opened across the decks, releasing cold air as more of the lost crew awakened. "Where are we?" one officer asked weakly. "In the void," Ria answered. "The galaxy moved on without us." A silence followed. No one knew whether to feel sadness or anger. Then Arlen's voice came over the intercom, calm but full of fire. "We're Terrans. We don't vanish. We don't surrender. You've slept long enough. It's time to rise." Meanwhile, across the stars, alien fleets gathered. On the flagship Obsidian Moor, High Strategos Varen watched live feeds of the battle wreckage. The destroyed cruisers floated like burning debris, a sign of human defiance. His second-in-command spoke nervously. "Sir, the old Terran ship. It carries technology we cannot identify. It's using something we've never seen. Varen's eyes narrowed. It's the reason their species almost conquered the stars. Never underestimate humans. Prepare the Dominion Armada. I want that ship found and erased. Back on the Valiant Dawn, the awakening continued. Aegis connected to the mainframe deep within the ship's core, a place untouched for centuries. Energy cables glowed, and data streams rushed across the network. Captain, Aegis said, I am unlocking restricted files from the Terran War Council. Access level, Omega Black, Arlen frowned. Omega Black? That was Earth's highest clearance. Correct, Aegis replied. Project designation Thunderstrike. The name sent a chill through the bridge. Rhea spoke softly. Is that what we used in the last battle? Arlen nodded. Part of it, yes, but this is something more. The hologram showed the ship's design, revealing massive energy conduits leading to a hidden chamber deep in the lower decks. Inside was a dormant reactor, the Thunderstrike core, humanity's last weapon, capable of bending gravity and destroying entire fleets. It was never finished, Aegis explained. The Council designed it to end wars, but Earth fell before it could be deployed. Arlen looked at the glowing image, the power pulsing like a sleeping heart. Then maybe it's time we finish what our ancestors started. Suddenly, alarms blared across the ship. Aegis spoke urgently. Incoming hyperspace signatures, multiple contacts. The Zerath fleet has arrived. Red warning lights flashed across every screen. The Valiant Dawn shuddered as nearby space rippled with the arrival of alien ships. Rhea turned to Arlen. Orders, sir? Battle stations, Arlen said firmly. Wake everyone, arm all weapons, and bring Thunderstrike online. Across the decks, soldiers and engineers ran through narrow corridors. Guns powered up. Fighters rolled out of their hangars, their pilots ready after centuries of sleep. The ship's engines glowed brighter, pushing back the darkness. Captain, Aegis warned, activating Thunderstrike may draw every alien fleet in this sector. Arlen smiled faintly. Good. Then they'll all see what happens when you corner humanity. Outside, the Zerath ships surrounded the lone Terran warship. Thousands of lights blinked across their formation. The entire Dominion Armada had arrived. High Strategos, Varen opened a transmission. His deep voice echoed across the void. To the relic of Earth, he said, you are surrounded. You cannot win. Power down and surrender. You will be preserved as a museum piece, a warning to others. Inside the Valiant Dawn, Arlen stepped forward. Open channel. The holographic image of the alien commander appeared before him. Arlen met his gaze without fear. You speak like a conqueror, Arlen said. But I've seen your kind before. You think we're broken? You think we're finished? Varen sneered. And you are ghosts of a dead world. Arlen's expression hardened. Then hear this ghost roar. He turned to Aegis. Activate Thunderstrike. The ship's hull vibrated as the reactor roared awake. Blue lightning crawled across the metal. The darkness outside shimmered. The aliens watched in shock as energy waves rippled across space, distorting gravity itself. What are they doing? Varen shouted. Power levels rising beyond known scale. One of his officers screamed. Then silence. The Valiant Dawn stopped moving, glowing like a newborn star. For a single breath, space went still. Then came the thunder. A deep, rolling explosion of energy that shattered the darkness and sent alien ships spinning out of control. When the light faded, the Valiant Dawn remained, scarred, ancient, and alive. Humanity's flagship had awakened. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Across the void, thousands of sensors, satellites, and scanners lit up with one message pulsing through the stars, a signal in old Terran code. Every empire, every race, every listening post caught the same words. This is Captain Arlen Drake of the Terran Starfleet. Humanity is not extinct. We are coming home. The transmission spread like wildfire through the networks of alien worlds. On distant planets, leaders gathered in fear. On military outposts, fleets were ordered to alert status. The legend of the humans, long dead and forgotten, had returned. Inside the TSS Valiant Dawn, the ship was alive with motion. Engineers rushed through the corridors, repairing systems and sealing hull breaches. Pilots prepped small fighters for launch, while technicians armed the ship's ancient weapons. Arlen stood on the command deck, watching as new energy readings glowed across the main display. The Thunderstrike core hummed softly below them, still burning with dangerous power. "Status?" he asked. Aegis responded, "Core is stable for now. Power output at 60%. Shields restored. Weapons fully charged, however. The message you sent has reached the entire Dominion network. You have awakened them all." Arlen nodded slowly. "Good, let them hear us." Lieutenant Ria Torres looked at him, worry in her eyes. "Captain, if every alien empire knows we're alive, they'll unite against us. The Dominion, the Serathi, the Krael, they all feared humanity once." Arlen's voice was calm but filled with purpose. "They feared us because we stood alone and still won. We'll remind them why." Far away, on the Zerath homeworld, the Supreme Council gathered in the Crystal Chamber. High Strategos Varin stood before them, his armor scarred from the last battle. "The Terran ship used forbidden energy," he reported. "They call it Thunderstrike. It destroyed half my fleet with a single strike." The eldest of the council leaned forward, his eyes glowing faintly. "You let a relic of a dead species defeat you?" Varin's voice darkened. "It was no relic, it was alive. The humans are alive." The chamber filled with silence. Then another counselor spoke softly. "Then we must erase them." Again, orders were given. The largest armada in the galaxy began to move. Back aboard the Valiant Dawn, Aegis detected the growing threat. "Captain, the Dominion is mobilizing. Multiple fleets converging from 3 sectors. We cannot face them all." Arlen looked at the star map. "Then we find allies." "Human colonies were destroyed centuries ago," Aegis replied. "There are no Terrans left." Arlen shook his head. "Not all colonies. Some went dark before the war ended. Find their old beacon signals. Anything." Aegis began scanning the galactic archives. Then, after several tense moments, the AI spoke again. "I have found a faint signal. Origin, the dead moon of Orpheon. It matches Terran encryption." Arlen's eyes lit up. "Plot a course." The Valiant Dawn's engines roared to life, cutting through the emptiness. The ship glided past shattered asteroids and silent wrecks of forgotten battles. Every moment felt heavier, the galaxy watching, waiting for humanity's next move. In the crew bay, soldiers cleaned their weapons. Some whispered prayers to Earth, a planet they had never seen but still called home. Ria walked among them, offering calm words. She stopped by a young officer who looked nervous. "You afraid?" she asked. He nodded. "It's strange, ma'am. We were asleep for centuries, and now we're at war again." Ria smiled faintly. "That's what it means to be human. We fall, but we always rise again." As they neared the dead moon, the ship's sensors began to detect strange readings. "Captain," Aegis reported, "the surface of Orpheon shows faint power signatures. Deep underground. Possibly human origin." Arlen stood up. "Prepare landing teams." "I'm going down there myself," Ria turned sharply. "Sir, with respect, it's too dangerous. The Dominion could be tracking us." Arlen looked at her with steady eyes. "If humanity has any chance, we need whatever's buried there. We can't win this war with one ship." The landing shuttle descended through grey dust and thick storms. The surface of Orpheon was cracked and lifeless, the ruins of an old Terran colony buried under ash. Arlen led the team through the remains, broken towers, scorched ground, and faded flags still bearing Earth's blue emblem. They reached a massive steel door, half buried in the ground. It carried old Terran script, Vault 09, Human Refuge Command. Aegis's voice came through the comms. "Energy readings detected. There is something active behind that door." The crew worked fast, cutting through the metal. As the final piece fell away, a wave of warm air and light hit them. Inside, massive machines still hummed, powered by self-sustaining reactors. And then, from the shadows, mechanical drones floated forward. Old Terran sentinels. Their optical sensors glowed blue as they scanned the humans. Then they spoke. "Welcome back, Terran Command. We have waited." The crew froze in disbelief. Arlen stepped closer. You remember us?" The sentinel nodded. "We were programmed to await your return. Humanity's memory was never erased. We are ready to rebuild. Arlen felt something stir inside. Hope. He turned to his crew. We're not just survivors anymore. We're the spark of a new dawn. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, High Strategos Varin's fleet approached the void around Orpheon. His ships glowed red with battle energy. Signal the Armada, Varin ordered. They think they can rise again. We'll show them what happens when they defy the Dominion. The alien commander watched the distant moon with cold eyes. Let the galaxy witness the end of humanity. Again, on the Valiant Dawn, Aegis detected the incoming enemy fleet. The alarm echoed through every corridor. "Captain," the AI said, "the Dominion Armada will arrive in less than 1 hour." Arlen looked out at the stars, his reflection shimmering in the glass. "Then we'll send one more message," he said. "To who, sir?" Rhea asked. Arlen smiled faintly. "To everyone watching. To the galaxy that forgot us." He walked to the console and began typing. Aegis amplified the signal across every known frequency. "To all who hear this is Captain Arlen Drake of the Terran Starfleet. You may fear us, you may hate us, but remember this: humanity does not fade. We fight, we fall, and we rise again, always." The message echoed through the stars, and somewhere far beyond, other hidden outposts began to awaken, responding to that same ancient signal. The silence of deep space never felt this heavy before. The Valiant Dawn drifted between broken fragments of metal and shattered ships, the remains of a battlefield long forgotten. Captain Arlen Drake stood before the panoramic viewport, his reflection faintly visible against the ghostly light of distant stars. "This is where it happened," he whispered. "The final stand of humanity." The AI, Aegis, spoke softly beside him. "Confirmed. Sensor analysis matches ancient Terran battle records. This is the site of the last bastion, the place where humanity fell." Arlen clenched his fists. He could almost see it. Thousands of Terran ships forming a shield around Earth's final colony. The burning flashes of plasma fire. The screams echoing through the void. Humanity's desperate hope to survive. Now only debris floated here. The broken wings of warships. The shattered dreams of billions. Lieutenant Mara looked at the radar with wide eyes. "Captain, these wrecks are still emitting faint energy." "Some systems are alive," Arlen turned sharply. "Show me." The holographic display lit up, showing a small cluster of Terran ships buried deep in the wreckage. Faint energy signatures pulsed like dying heartbeats. "Those ships are centuries old," Aegis said. "They should not be active, unless," Arlen whispered. "Something kept them alive." The Valiant Dawn slowly approached. Hulls of ancient cruisers drifted silently, covered in cosmic dust and ice. Then a transmission crackled through the static. "Faint, broken, but human. This is the Terran fleet, requesting assistance." The crew froze. Mara covered her mouth. "That's impossible. Humans have been gone for over 200 years. Aegis analyzed the signal. "It's a repeating distress beacon. Origin unknown, but human-made." Arlen's heart raced. "Can you locate the source?" "Affirmative. Transmission coming from the wreck of the TSS Horizon Blade." Arlen's eyes narrowed. "The Horizon Blade. She was our sister ship." He ordered the crew to prepare a shuttle. Within minutes, Arlen, Mara, and 2 engineers descended into the void, the shuttle weaving through metallic graveyards. The light from their craft illuminated names of fallen ships: Endeavour, Titan, Resolute. Each name felt like a ghost whispering from the past. As they approached the Horizon Blade, its structure appeared torn apart, split in half by plasma fire. Yet deep inside, lights flickered, dim but alive. They docked and entered through a side airlock. The air was stale. Frozen bodies floated silently, their uniforms still marked with Terran emblems. Arlen closed his eyes for a moment of silence before moving deeper inside. "Captain," Mara whispered, "power is active in the core." They followed the light until they reached the ship's bridge. There, lying in a shattered command chair, was an old figure, a human skeleton still wearing a Terran officer's uniform. The nameplate read Admiral Solus Virex. Beside the skeleton, a console blinked weakly. Aegis's signal relayed through Arlen's wrist comms. "Captain, the ship's memory core is still functioning. Access it." Arlen activated the console. A holographic recording flickered to life. The image of Admiral Virex appeared. Tired, wounded, but proud. "If anyone ever finds this, humanity may be gone, but our fire must live on. The Dominion thinks they've won, but they will never understand. Humans don't vanish. We wait, we rebuild, and one day we return." The message ended with static. The silence that followed was heavy. Mara's eyes filled with tears. He knew. He believed we'd come back. Arlen nodded slowly. He was right, but suddenly the ship trembled. Red warning lights flashed. Aegis's voice came through sharply. "Captain, multiple signatures approaching. Zerath scouts. They've detected your shuttle." "Damn it," Arlen growled. "Everyone back to the shuttle, now." The team ran through the wrecked corridors as the sound of plasma charges echoed from outside. The alien ships had begun to fire on the horizon blade. As they reached the shuttle bay, explosions tore through the structure. Flames and debris flew in all directions. Arlen pushed Mara into the shuttle first, shielding her from the blast. They launched just as the horizon blade collapsed behind them, consumed by fire. "Captain, enemy ships closing in," Aegis reported. Arlen stared ahead, jaw tight. "Power up the railguns. Let them come." The Valiant Dawn turned sharply, engines blazing to life. Plasma fire streaked across the void. The first alien scout exploded under a single Terran shot. Ancient human technology roaring back to life after centuries of silence. In the command center, Arlen stood tall as the second wave approached. "Transmit Admiral Virex's message across all frequencies. Let the galaxy hear it." Aegis obeyed, and the ancient admiral's final words echoed through the stars. "Humans don't vanish. We wait, we rebuild, and one day we return." Across the sector, alien ships intercepted the message. Confusion spread through the Dominion. The impossible had happened. A human fleet was alive, and in the shadows of the past, the thunder of humanity began to rise once more. The void trembled. The silence that once ruled the stars was gone. For the first time in centuries, the banner of humanity had returned to space, glowing across frequencies, echoing through every Dominion system. Inside the command bridge of the TSS Valiant Dawn, Captain Arlen Drake watched the chaos unfold across the holodisplay. Dozens of alien fleets were now mobilizing. The Zerath Dominion had declared a full military alert. Every commander across their empire had received the same impossible message. Humans are alive. Aegis, the ship's AI, spoke with calm precision. "Captain, multiple Zerath fleets are moving toward our position. Estimated arrival, 12 hours? Lieutenant Mara frowned. "That's half the galaxy hunting us. We can't fight them all." Arlen's voice was firm. "We don't have to. We just need to make them afraid again." He looked at the holographic map. The Valiant Dawn stood alone in a field of wreckage, the graveyard of humanity's final battle. Yet Arlen saw more than ruins. He saw potential. "Mara," he said, "start scanning the debris. Search for any working reactors or weapons. If we can bring even one more Terran ship online, we might have a chance." Hours passed. The ship's crew worked without rest. Engineers crawled through the wrecks of old Terran destroyers, connecting power lines, reviving engines that hadn't burned for centuries. Sparks flew, alarms blared, but piece by piece the past began to awaken. Soon a voice came through comms. "Captain, this is Engineer Loran. We've managed to reactivate the TSS Dauntless. Minimal power, but weapons are stable." A grin spread across Arlen's face. "Good work. Bring her online." In the darkness, the ancient cruiser's lights flickered and glowed, a ghost ship rising from the dead. The Dauntless powered up, its old cannons charging with faint blue light. Mara looked at Arlen. "Two ships against an empire. You really think this will work?" Arlen smiled faintly. "It's not about winning, Mara. It's about reminding them what fear feels like." Meanwhile, Deep within the Zerath Dominion Command Fleet, the alien High Commander Vraxen Kyle stood before his war council. His reptilian eyes burned with disbelief. "Humans!" he hissed. "They were supposed to be extinct." A holographic officer replied, "Our sensors confirm it. The Terran ship is real. The signal came from the Valiant Dawn." Vraxen slammed his clawed hand on the console. "Mobilize everything. No survivors. I want their ashes scattered across the stars." The order was sent. Hundreds of Zerath warships began converging toward the Andros Void. The greatest hunt in centuries had begun. Back aboard the Valiant Dawn, preparations were nearly complete. Aegis had successfully linked the systems of both Terran ships, creating a small, unified battle network. "Captain," Aegis reported, "our sensors detect massive energy spikes. The Zerath fleet is en route. Estimated time to contact, 1 hour. Arlen stood before the viewport, watching the glow of distant engines light up the stars. He turned to his crew. "Listen carefully. This will be the storm before dawn. We are outnumbered, outgunned, and forgotten, but we are still Terrans. We don't run, we stand." Mara raised her head. "For Earth?" Arlen nodded. "For Earth. For every world we lost, for every voice silenced by their fire." The crew shouted as one. "For humanity." The first enemy ships arrived, sleek, sharp, and deadly. Their crimson lights cut through the void like blades. The Terran Flagship Obsidian Fang broadcast a signal. "This is Commander Vraxen Kale of the Zerath Dominion. Identify yourself, Terran." Arlen activated his comms. "Captain Arlen Drake, Terran Starfleet. You remember us, don't you?" Vraxen's eyes narrowed. "You should not exist." "Neither should fear," Arlen replied. "And yet, here you are." Without warning, the alien fleet opened fire. Blue plasma and red ion beams filled the space between them. The Valiant Dawn shook violently, its shields sparking under the first barrage. "Return fire," Arlen shouted. The Dauntless roared to life beside them, its ancient cannons firing plasma bolts that cut through the enemy ranks. 2 Zerath destroyers exploded instantly, a shockwave rippling through the battle lines. Mara's voice rang out. "Direct hits confirmed. Their formation is breaking." Arlen grinned. "They remember the fire now." But the victory was brief. Dozens more ships appeared, their combined energy overwhelming the Terran shields. The Valiant Dawn shuddered as explosions tore through its hull. "Shields at 30%, Aegis reported. Arlen gritted his teeth. "We can't hold forever. Divert power to the railgun." Aegis hesitated. "Captain, firing the railgun at this distance will overload the reactor." "Do it," Arlen ordered. "If this is the end, let's make it burn bright." The ship's massive forward cannon charged, energy building until the entire hull trembled. Outside, the Zerath fleet closed in, confident, hungry for the kill. Then the railgun fired. A blinding beam of white energy split the darkness, cutting through the enemy flagship like lightning through glass. The obsidian fang erupted in a sphere of fire, tearing apart nearby ships in the blast. The void went silent again. Inside the Terran bridge, the lights flickered. Smoke filled the air. Mara turned to Arlen, her voice trembling. "We got them, Captain, but the core is unstable." Arlen smiled faintly. "Then let's use what's left to vanish." Aegis understood. Engaging temporal fold generator. The Valiant Dawn's engines screamed as space bent around the ship. The stars twisted into spirals of light. The wreckage, the flames, the enemy fleet, all disappeared behind them. As the ship entered the fold, Arlen looked at the fading stars. "Let them believe we're gone again. But one day, we'll return, and next time, we won't be alone." The fold closed, leaving only silence and wreckage behind. But across the galaxy, the signal of humanity's return still echoed, a whisper growing louder with every passing moment. The void was quiet once again. The battle had ended, and the wreckage of alien ships drifted like ashes in the dark. But deep within the folds of space, something moved. Something ancient, wounded, and alive. The TSS Valiant Dawn floated through the temporal storm. Its hull was scorched, its engines broken, yet its spirit refused to die. Inside, emergency lights flickered weakly. The air smelled of smoke and metal. Captain Arlen Drake sat against a shattered console, breathing heavily. His uniform was torn, his hands covered in ash. The ship groaned, but the heartbeat of the engine still pulsed faintly, proof that it wasn't over yet. Aegis's voice broke the silence. "Captain, the fold has stabilized. We are no longer in the Andros void." Arlen opened his eyes. "Where are we?" "Scanning. Coordinates unknown," the AI replied, "but there are multiple life signatures nearby, human life signatures." For a second, Arlen froze. His tired eyes widened. "Say that again." "Human life detected," Aegis confirmed. "Several colonies in this system. Primitive technology, early fusion age, but unmistakably Terran." Arlen slowly stood up, gripping the edge of the console. After 2 centuries, after all the loss, humanity had survived somewhere in the galaxy, hidden, rebuilding in silence. Mara entered the bridge, limping slightly. "Captain, is it true? There are humans out there." Arlen nodded, his voice soft. "They made it. Somehow. They made it." The viewport cleared, and a small sun came into view. Around it orbited 3 planets, 2 of them glowing with city lights. The sight hit them harder than any battle, a living testament that humanity had not been erased, only scattered. "Send a signal," Arlen said. "The same message Admiral Virex left for us. Let them know we're back." Aegis complied, broadcasting the transmission. Across the new colonies, antennas picked up the faint but familiar voice of an old Terran soldier. "Humans don't vanish. We wait, we rebuild, and one day we return." Hours later, the signal reached the colony world of Nova Helios, a young settlement built by descendants of the refugees who escaped Earth's fall. On its surface, crowds gathered as the message repeated across every screen. The people stared in disbelief. A name from myth, a ship from legend, alive in their skies. In orbit, Terran ships of a new generation began to respond. They were smaller, built for survival, not war. But when they received the coordinates of the Valiant Dawn, they set course immediately. "Multiple ships approaching," Aegis announced. "They bear Terran emblems, though of different design." Mara smiled through tears. "We're not the last anymore." Arlen stood before the viewport as the first ship appeared, its hull silver, marked with the insignia United Terran Remnant. A communication channel opened, and a young officer appeared on the hollow screen. "This is Commander Lyra Kent of the Remnant Fleet." "Identify yourself." Arlen stepped forward, voice steady. "Captain Arlen Drake, Terran Starfleet, Earth Defense Command." There was silence for a moment, then gasps filled the background. Lyra stared at him as if seeing a ghost. "That's impossible. The Starfleet was destroyed over 200 years ago." Arlen gave a small smile. "We were never destroyed. Just waiting." The young commander saluted. "Then, welcome home, Captain. You've just reignited the fire." As the new Terran, ships surrounded the Valiant Dawn, engineers began linking their systems. The ancient flagship transferred its data, battle records and blueprints, a treasure trove of lost technology and history. Aegis reported quietly, "Captain, their systems are compatible. I can merge my core with their network. Humanity can rise again, stronger, united." Arlen nodded slowly. "Do it. Give them everything. Let the next generation build the future we couldn't." The ship's lights dimmed as data streams flowed across the network, merging past and present. For the first time in centuries, the Terran legacy burned bright again. Mara turned to Arlen. "What about us? The Valiant Dawn is falling apart. We can't survive re-entry." Arlen looked at the damaged hull around him. Every scar told a story, every burn a reminder of their fight. He placed a hand on the console and spoke softly. "Then we'll rest here. We've done our part." Aegis's voice softened. "It has been an honor, Captain." "And to you, my friend," Arlen replied. The ship began to break apart as the data transfer completed. Outside, the new Terran fleet watched in silence as the Valiant Dawn drifted toward the nearby sun. A final message echoed through every Terran system, a farewell from a lost captain who had carried humanity's flame through centuries of darkness. To all who still bear the name of Terran, never forget what we are. We fall, we bleed, we burn, but we never end. The stars remember us, and now so will you. The Valiant Dawn entered the sun's light, disappearing in a burst of brilliance. Lyra Kent lowered her head. "He gave us everything." Another officer whispered, "What do we do now?" Lyra looked up at the stars. "We rebuild, and when the Dominion learns we're back, they'll remember what fear is." Weeks later, the Zereth Dominion intercepted a new transmission. Not a distress call this time, but a declaration. Across every communication channel, 3 words pulsed like thunder in the dark. The Terran Flagship returns, and with it, the storm of humanity began again.